Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Life and Work. In the studio with us now, we have two experts in psychology, David Lodge and Celia Ramirez, who are going to be talking about the pros and cons of doing nothing. David, first of all, some people say that doing nothing can be useful in your working day. What's your opinion?
Well, I really think that doing nothing is a waste of time. Everyone has work to do. Can you imagine everyone deciding to do nothing in the office? It makes people unproductive.
I have a different opinion about that. Many people have work that takes a long time and they can get very bored. Spending some time having a cup of coffee or talking to a colleague means you can go back to your work feeling rested.
I think people feel guilty when they do nothing. I understand that people get tired with their jobs, but doing nothing isn't the answer. Doing nothing would make you stressed because you are not doing your work. Imagine you have a big presentation coming up. Sitting and looking out the window for 20 minutes may seem relaxing, but it can make some people more nervous. Doing nothing at all is not the way to progress in your job.
You may have a point. Although I must say that taking time out to just look at the world and think your own thoughts can make people more creative. That's good for problem solving too. And I think that doing nothing can help us relax. People don't do enough nothing.
We'll be back with more on this subject after these words from our sponsor.
This is the house I wanted to show you. I think you are going to like it here.
I hope so. I move in exactly 1 month. I need to find a place soon. It looks really big. I can't wait to go inside.
The owner should be here soon. We are meeting him at 10 a.m., and it's 9:50 right now.
I made a list of questions for the owner. I'm going to ask him a lot of things.
That's a very good idea. I'm sure he will be happy to answer them.
I hope so, or I'm not going to buy it. How is your living situation, Eli?
It's a little bit better, but it's still not very good. I'm getting along with my roommates, but we don't spend much time together. But that's okay. They're just roommates, not friends. They're fine about sharing chores, but they're not very good at sharing the bills. They don't pay on time. It's really irritating.
Oh, that's terrible. What are you going to do about that?
Well, I can't look for another place to live. I'm too busy with school. Also, I really don't like the idea of moving. It gives me stress and makes me feel worried.
You could talk to your roommates about sharing the bills.
Yes, well, I've done that already, so they know they should pay.
Oh dear, Eli. I think you have to move. I know you have a lot of schoolwork right now, but it's terrible to live with roommates who aren't responsible. You know, there's a studio apartment near my work. I think you might like it. The apartment may not be close to your school, though, but the neighborhood is nice.
Really, Ivy? That sounds interesting. I think I could afford a studio apartment. Maybe my parents can give me some money to help with rent, and I can probably get a part-time job to pay for the rest. The thought of more work worries me, but you're right. I can't live like this.
That's a good idea. I can help you move if you like. I guess moving might not take very long. It depends on how much stuff you have. Do you have a lot of stuff?
Not really. I have my bed, and I also have a couch. My roommates definitely use it more than I do.
Well, I think they will have to find a new couch soon.
Thanks a lot for your help, Ivy. I'm starting to feel better already.
Today, I want to share with you some tips on keeping your house cool in the summer and warm in the winter. First, I'll start with keeping it cool. Being hot in the summer is the worst. Most people use air conditioners to keep cool. Not everyone can afford that, though. The electricity to use an air conditioner can be expensive, so I tell people to keep them off if possible. It's better to use something that can move the air around your house, such as a fan, because that uses less electricity. It might also be a good idea to open some windows so the hot air can get out. Finally, it's important to turn lights off if you don't need them. Lights create heat, and that makes things hotter. What's the best way to stay warm in the winter? You will probably have to use a heater, especially if it gets very cold where you live. Of course, you will definitely have your windows closed, but air may still be getting into your home. That's true around the doors also. You want to make sure no cold air is coming inside. If you put your hand around your windows and doors, you might be able to feel air, especially if it's windy outside. If that happens, you could ask someone to come look at it and fix the problem. Then, your heater will work better, and you may not have to use it as often. What ideas do you have for staying cool in the summer and warm in the winter? Get in touch and let us know what you think.
Hey, Amy, you have one of those brain training apps. Have you seen this research on brain training? I read all about it in a magazine, and it's really fascinating.
No, I haven't, Austin. I've had this app for a long time, and I'm not sure it's improving my math skills or creativity. But I think my memory's better.
Well, that's what it says here. They did this research on a group of people using a brain training app. They discovered that they improved at the activities in the app, but that was only because of practice. If you practice anything every day, you get better at it. It's simple science.
Really? Oh, well, will the training from the apps help you if you do other things? If you use a puzzle app, will it help you get better at problem solving? I heard it helps you with things like making decisions and understanding things.
Well, apparently, yes, it will. But it's not necessarily the app. It's just the constant practice with the puzzles.
Ah, I see. So does the article say what we can do if we want to exercise our brains?
Yes, it does. But I think you'll be surprised. It says that the best way to improve your brain is not by using apps or brain training games, but just to do most of the things we do every day.
Wait, so will I be more intelligent if I just watch TV and chat with my friends online?
Yes and no. First, any kind of brain training won't make you more intelligent, but it will improve your attention. And apparently, socializing is one of the best ways of doing this. But in person, not over the internet or on the phone.
That's easy. What else?
Apparently, you exercise your brain if you exercise your body. Plus, you need to sleep more and eat more nuts and vegetables.
That sounds great. So I don't really have to change my life completely. Well, apart from the exercise, maybe.
Hi, everyone. This week, we're continuing our series, Doing My Job. And today, we're at the clinic of Dr. Mark Lee. Dr. Lee, you've had many years of training to do your job. But do you think it's possible for people who aren't doctors to help people?
Well, I think it's important for people to have some basic medical knowledge. There are times when you need to help someone immediately. You can, if you have some basic training.
Do you mean helping someone if they break their arm?
Well, if someone breaks their arm, they need specific medical attention. It's not something you should try to deal with without a doctor. But if someone has a cold or a cut, it is a good idea to be able to take care of them.
So what can you do to help if someone has a cut?
For a small cut, the first thing you need to do is wash your hands. If you wash your hands, you will reduce the chances of infection. Then you need to wash the cut with soap and water and then dry it. Finally, you should put a clean bandage on the cut.
Okay, perfect. And what about when people have a fever? I've heard that it's a good idea to make sure that people don't eat anything if they have a fever.
Actually, that's not true. If someone has a fever, they should eat. Of course, not lots of pizza and hamburgers, but they should eat healthy foods so they get all the nutrients they need to get better. Also, some people think that it's a good idea to have a cold bath if you have a fever. In fact, this is a very bad idea. If you have a cold bath, the fever will probably get worse.
So what should we do if someone has a fever?
If someone has a fever, they need to drink lots of liquids like water or tea. If not, they will dehydrate. Also, they should stay in bed and rest, and they should try to stay cool. If they wear too many clothes or blankets, it could make the fever worse.
And what if someone had a very high fever?
Well, if it's a very high fever, and if it lasts for over 3 days, it would be better to take them to the doctor. But in general, it's important not to worry too much about fevers. A fever shows you that the body is fighting the illness, and that's a good thing.
After years of doing no training at all, I finally made the decision to get in shape and join a gym. It wasn't easy to get started at first, but I have to say that I'm feeling much better now. I have more energy and I get a lot less tired than I used to. And my trainer says that if I continue like this, I'll be able to run a 5-mile race by the end of the year. It's great.
After I get home from work, I usually have dinner and watch a movie or something. I get tired just thinking of going for a run. I don't know how people do it. Last week, my sister took part in a basketball tournament, and she had to train every evening after work for months. That's really amazing, and it would be so good if I could do that. But I don't think I could do that much exercise.
My friends and I aren't very active at all. We love staying at home and eating pizza on a Friday night. Recently, I've noticed that I get tired very easily. To be honest, I get upset about it because I'd love to have more energy. So, we've decided to join an aerobics class at the local gym. We're getting ready for our first lesson at the moment, and I know it'll be good for me. But I'm a bit nervous.
I've played many different types of sports since I was at school, and I'm used to training for sports events. So it was very strange when I started getting hungry during my marathon training recently. That never happened to me before. I spoke to a friend about it, and she told me that it's very normal when you're training for a long race, and that I should take some food with me on a run. It's not very easy to carry it with me, though.
With us today is fashion designer Leon Fernandez. Leon designs jackets, pants, belts, and other types of clothing. His latest collection includes leather jackets with many zippers on them. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
You must really like zippers. I think I counted 12 of them.
I like to try out new things. Last year it was Velcro. This year it's zippers. Maybe next year I'll do buttons. Zippers, though, are very interesting. They're like small machines with so many metal parts.
Yes, I never thought of that.
I was doing some research on zippers, and I found out that they were first developed in the 1850s, but they were not successful. One fancy type of zipper was shown at the Chicago World's Fair in 1893. But still, no one was interested in it. It didn't look much like a zipper. It looked more like fish teeth on long pieces of very thin metal.
Perhaps the designs weren't very useful.
I'm guessing that they were hard to use or they got stuck easily. The kind of zipper we see today was designed in 1913 by Gideon Sundback, a Swedish-American engineer.
I guess that's why they look like machines.
Exactly. You know, the name zipper wasn't given by Sundback himself. His device was bought by a tire company that used it in a special pair of boots that they produced for workers. They called it a zipper, and the name stuck.
Interesting.
The first zippers were mostly used in boots. Designers didn't use them in clothing until the 1930s or so. Back then, buttons were used on pants to pull them together. Eventually, the buttons were replaced by zippers.
You mentioned buttons earlier. Perhaps you'll use buttons in your next designs.
Maybe, although I don't really like buttons. They're so old-fashioned. I prefer zippers because they're like little machines for our clothes.
I live in an area where there isn't a lot of recycling. This is because our government hasn't done much to make it easy for people to recycle. Recycling centers aren't set up nearby, and a lot of glass, paper, and plastic bottles end up in the landfill. The result is that our landfills are full, and there is very little room for the regular trash. Then the regular trash isn't collected, and our trash cans are always too full. My neighbors talk about how the neighborhood is becoming a trash pile, which makes me sad. Well, I plan to do something about this problem. The first thing I'm going to do is send an email to the government and ask them to set up a recycling center. If the trash keeps getting worse, I believe the situation will become dangerous and people will start to get sick. So, the government has to do something about this before it becomes a health problem. Also, I believe a recycling center can help the government because the government can sell glass, plastic, and paper to companies that can use it to make things. Then they can make money from the sales. Isn't that a smart idea? I'm sure I will be able to convince them of this plan. If they don't take me seriously, I will organize a group of neighbors to visit government offices and speak to officials in person. I hope that will get their attention. I believe with some hard work, we can make our neighborhood a clean and healthy place to live.
I'm no good at telling jokes at all, but one of my favorites is about networking. What did you like most about the conference? Said a manager to her employee. The coffee break, he said. Not very funny, I know, but maybe the employee wasn't joking. Why not? Well, I don't think it's a joke about conferences being boring. I think that the employee really did love the coffee break. You see, according to business leaders, the coffee break can be more important than any event at a conference because you get to know new contacts and develop your network. If you think of yourself as a sociable person, the coffee break is the best time to walk up to people and introduce yourself. But if you're not a sociable person, here are some tips to help you make the most of it. First, you have to promise yourself that you will meet at least 3 new people during the coffee break. The easiest way to do this is to walk over to people who are alone. They will always remember you as the person who talked to them. But what do you say to someone? Well, people love talking about themselves. There are not enough good listeners in the world. So, Ask them something about how long they have been in town or what they like doing when they're not working. Then, when you have your first contact, you can go around the room with that person, so there are two of you. Then it'll be much easier to get into conversation with groups because you'll be the one introducing the new person. So, after all that, you should be fine. Just remember to get email addresses from your new contacts so that you don't lose the new connections. And make sure you contact them. In this way, you'll start to see what that employee in the joke meant, and that the coffee break really is the best part of a conference, for all the right reasons.
I'm a computer programmer and I work from home, so I usually wear loose clothes because I feel more relaxed like that. I don't really wear much jewelry, but I sometimes wear a ring that one of my friends gave me. I also have a beard and a mustache, and so do a lot of my friends. I can get hot sometimes, especially in the summer. Everyone at work calls me a hipster, and I have no problem with that. I think it's cool.
In the summer, I work at a sports center on the coast. I wear tight clothes because they're the best for exercising. I also like to wear bright clothes in the summer because they are cooler than dark clothes. I used to wear a necklace, but I broke it when I was working in the gym last month, so I don't wear one now. I also have long hair. That's not very useful in my job, I guess. I should cut it one day.
I'm a professional skateboarder, and I skate at competitions all over the world. I've been to 3 competitions already this month. I used to have long hair, but it wasn't very practical. So now I have very short hair. I always wear the same type of loose, dark clothes for training. I wear loose clothes for competitions, and I like to wear jewelry too. Not a lot, just a pair of earrings and a necklace. I wear them because they bring me good luck.
How was the baseball game?
It was raining a lot during the game, so I was disappointed with the weather. I really wanted to meet Alex Rodriguez because he's my role model. I love baseball, and he's a great player. I was worried that I wouldn't get to meet him.
So what happened?
I followed him after the game and I asked for an autograph. He was a great guy. I was really thrilled to meet him.
So, what should we get Ricardo for his birthday?
What about a nice pair of shoes? I don't know what size he wears, but we could find out.
I'm not sure about that. I don't want to spend that much money. How about we give him some money and he can buy what he wants? People always like to get money as a gift.
I disagree. I think money shows that you don't care enough to get someone something special.
You're right. Let's go shopping at the mall tomorrow and see if we can find a gift he would really like.
That sounds great.
How was your weekend, Anna?
It was amazing. I got to fly in a helicopter for the first time.
Oh, really? I've never done that before. I've gone bungee jumping. That's the scariest thing I've ever done.
Well, flying in a helicopter wasn't scary. Have you ever gone skiing?
No, I haven't.
Well, I have, and that was more frightening than the helicopter.
Tell me about your new house, Paolo.
It's really cool. The rooms are big, which I really like. Our new house has solar panels too. That's very nice. I've never lived in a house like that.
Yes, it will help save electricity.
My wife and I want to buy a new kitchen stove because the one in the house uses too much power. We have a new washing machine and it uses a lot less water.
What's the best way to find a job these days, in your opinion?
Well, there are so many ways to do it, and you should explore every option. I've gone to career fairs quite a lot over the years. I think those are great for meeting people and building your network. I also think joining an online group is a great way to network. That's how I found my first job.
I see. And what about after that?
Well, it's funny, but an old school friend of mine emailed me and told me his company was hiring. I applied for a job and got it right away.
I suppose it's very important to keep in touch with people.
I'd really like to take up a new leisure activity. What do you think I should do?
Well, do you like to exercise? I do aerobics 2 or 3 times a week. I really enjoy it.
I'm not so sure about that. I was thinking about what my other friends do. My friend Diego goes kayaking on the weekend, but I can't swim. I'm not so crazy about that anyway.
I see. What about yoga? My brother Sam does that.
Now that I think about it, I don't want to do anything that's related to exercise. For me, that's not a leisure activity. I used to skate with my friend Maria every once in a while, but we stopped. She does paddleboarding now.
I see. My friend Jessica likes to make furniture. She used to do pottery, but she decided that she needed a change.
That sounds really interesting. My friend Annabelle makes jewelry, although I'm not so crazy about that. I think I'll try making furniture.
I'll introduce you to Jessica. She can tell you all about it.
Sophia, are you interested in joining the neighborhood recycling program?
Yes, I am. I was watching the news the other day, and a reporter said people in our town don't recycle enough. I mentioned it in my class, and they agreed. We need to do more about recycling.
Yes, well, my neighbor Tomas told me about the program, so I decided to help.
That's great. What does the program involve?
Well, there are different things to do. Some people will go around the neighborhood collecting things to recycle that are just lying around, such as paper and plastic. I've decided to help people recycle larger items like computers and TVs. Many people have old ones in their homes that they don't use, and they don't know how to get rid of them properly. I think that's a really big problem, which is why I want to help with that. Another thing to do is to hand out flyers to people.
Oh, that's a very good idea. Well, I can help you with your plan. I know a lot of people in the area. My cousin's family lives very close by, so we can go there first. Then we can visit my friend Amanda's house 1 block over. I know she has some things to recycle. Next door to Amanda's is the Gomez family. I watch their little girl sometimes when they want to go out, so I know them well.
Great! We can also visit people we don't know, and then we can get to know them better.
Yes, I was thinking that as well. We can also visit stores and businesses, local cafes, restaurants, and schools. My brother works in an office a few blocks away. There may be a lot of things to recycle that we can help with.
I like that idea a lot. One thing I haven't figured out yet, how will we get all of these things to the recycling plant? I don't have a car, but I was planning to ask my cousin Guillermo if we could borrow his. I hope that works out okay. We should have some kind of transportation. I don't want to rent a truck.
Oh, that's no problem. We can use my car to take things to the recycling plant. I have plenty of space in the back.
Terrific! Thanks for offering that. Let's plan to get started this Saturday.
Great! Looking forward to it.